It's an age-old cliche, but they say history repeats itself. On Saturday night, we're going to see history repeat itself again. The question is, what era of history will be repeated? Conor TKO stoppage of Dustin in 2014, or more recently, the Dustin KO of Conor McGregor earlier this year. We are Calf Kick Sports, and we are back for another episode breaking down the marquee UFC event of the year. On this episode, we have a special guest in Amar, who is training and fighting out of the London Shoot Fighters Gym. And as always, I'm joined by the amazing Tim Wheaton. Get your popcorn out, folks. This is going to be a good one.
Oh, man, we're excited to break this one down. Thanks for the introduction there, Ash. But yeah, we are joined today. I'm super excited. He's a Muay Thai trainer, K1 Muay Thai experience. Amar, the Algerian Spider. What's going on, dude?
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Everybody's good, man. Just excited to break down these fights.
Thanks for joining us, man. We were meant to do this a little while ago, but yeah, I'm really glad to have you on board, man. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, it's dope, man.
The first thing I'd like to go through, yeah. I mean, obviously, we've all gone through that first fight, the 2014 bout with Dustin and Conor. Break it down for me, guys. What did you see in that fight?
I mean, both of them were so young, but you could see that Conor was already thinking a few steps ahead because Dustin Poirier got knocked out in about 2 minutes because he was doing the same block over and over again. Now, something that we had talked about off air yesterday is that the fighter wins the fight. He was recognizing a really basic striking pattern in Dustin Poirier that, he's doing the same block. I'll fake and then go around the block. That's it. First fight, and it reinvented Dustin's career. So he now has an adapted Philly shell style. He does shoulder rolls because he learned a lot from that loss. Amar, what do you think?
I agree. I'd have to concur with your statements, I think, as well. It was a different level of Conor McGregor at the time. I think he just so focused. He was on job. Everything he did in that fight, it was just to wear his opponents out. Like, you can't really. It's quite difficult to fight a fight like that. Fight a fighter like that. His distance management was perfect. Reflexes were just too sharp. It's just a difficult fight for anyone really at any level. When your opponent, even at any level, when you have an opponent who's doing stuff that he's doing, it's too much for you. He's throwing crazy kicks everywhere. People thought he was a taekwondo fighter at one point.
I mean, literally what you were about to say, the distance management and the taekwondo, it was basically taekwondo / karate style. That
it was
and
perfect.
He put a whooping on Dustin, man. I mean, he wasn't completely out of punching range. Dustin was classically more of a puncher back then. He was completely out of punching range, and he was able to land some beautiful kicks, man. I think the first 4 seconds he landed a hook kick, or he tried to land a hook kick on Dustin. It's crazy, man. There's the style difference between the first and second fight.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a little bit of a shock as well, Like, the first thing your opponent comes out with is a hook kick. It's like, oh, damn, what's going on here,
Yeah.
No one really prepares for these types of opponents. They're hard to find. They're hard to find sparring partners at that level that can mix the boxing so well with the kicking, you know what I mean? Really, It keeps you at range. You're scared to get close. You're going to get spinning back kick. It plays in your mind. It's like, oh, all right, I've got another weapon to look out for. It's just too much to look out for.
Man, and I want to add on to that because I remember when Conor McGregor, I think it was just before UFC 189, when things were like really cooking up on the fame of Conor McGregor. I remember John Jones complimenting him backstage before like a press conference, I think it was. But John Jones said, dude, I love your kicks. And Conor broke it down of why he does those kicks. And they were the hook kicks because he wants to bring his opponent's guard up to their head. And this is what we saw against Chad Mendes. He was kind of like throwing that high kick to bring Mendez's guard up so that he could kick the body. And then over the chapters of Conor's career, and it's so weird to say that over the years, he's actually shrunk his game because we all imagine like he doesn't throw kicks anymore. I have stats to back this up. So he threw 45 against Nate, 23 in the first against Max Holloway, 15 body kicks on Chad Mendes. And then against Alvarez, Habib, Poirier combined, he threw 6 kicks. It is statistically that he stopped throwing kicks because for whatever reason, he found what worked. And I think it was kind of the Alvarez fight. Ash, what do you think?
In terms of that, you're absolutely right. And I think that is because of the fact that he boxed Floyd Mayweather. He started becoming extremely boxing oriented. And I do believe he started, believing in his own shit a bit more. Like everyone's, for us, Sahabi, one of the best trainers in the world, saying he's got the touch of death. And maybe he just thought, look, man, I'm just gonna knock people down and knock people out with my hands. I'm not gonna set up with kicks anymore, which is a shame. And I think that is something that he definitely acknowledged after the first fight. He goes, it was too boxing orientated, and that's the reason why I got my ass kicked. So I think he did not. He acknowledges that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So now we're talking going to the UFC 257 fight, the one in Abu Dhabi. Oh man, what an exciting period that was! Of like they changed the rules of COVID so that they could do this fight. They had fans in the audience. Oh, what a great moment it was! And we kind of saw Conor was doing really well with feints. And it's like his game didn't quite keep up with, I think, what Ninja Conor had, with what featherweight Conor looked like, but his game also didn't keep up with what, the mixed martial arts meta was. Now, Amar, I assume you of course have seen this fight. What is your analysis on the UFC 257 fight?
Man, it was a good match. We'll talk about the second fight with Dustin. It was a good fight. I mean, really, McGregor was doing really well up to the second round. Third round, I think Dustin started to catch him. He started to understand what worked, what didn't work. I think as well, as you said, Conor believes in his own shit a little bit. He's a bit overhyped himself. I mean, it's important to build confidence for yourself, but I feel like he carries that maybe too much into day-to-day life, as opposed to just a fight. Like, obviously, if you're gonna fight, you need to, I'm the man. But in the gym, you have to sort of bring yourself down a few levels to work on your mistakes, to understand, all right, how do I improve? And I feel like maybe he's concentrated too much in the wrong areas, especially in that fight. He was doing very well. He was keeping range, keeping distance well. Difficult to get takedowns. And then Poirier was doing really well against the cage. Like, really made it difficult for Conor against the cage. I think there was just one section where Conor managed to rotate them and have Poirier on the back and just finish him with the shoulder strikes. But really, the grappling might have worn out Conor a little bit, because, man, getting held up against the cage, trying to hold someone down, like, from taking you down, it does wear out your muscles, tires you out. You're not sharp, you're not as fast. And then adding leg kicks, trying to watch those leg kicks to react consistently is very difficult. Yeah. And I don't think he was dealing with them very well.
Did you find it strange? I mean, when you're watching it live and you're looking at him getting his leg absolutely trashed. I mean, like, from the opening bell, I mean, I watched the fight a couple of times. I'm like, Dustin, that was his game plan from the off. He was like, I'm gonna just kick you in your lead leg until until either you fall down or I'm gonna just completely take the power away from you.
Well, he's standing so heavy on them, like he's standing so heavy on that lead leg. I don't know what his specific plan he was trying to counter or whatnot, or just like you said, he's really into the boxing now,
Yeah.
But that's Dustin's game as well. Like, if you're not controlling the distance as well, like, because if Dustin was able to grapple him and get him against the cage from time to time, then obviously he's doing well, like, managing that distance. He's able to get in. Whereas in the first fight, it was very difficult for him to get anywhere close. Like, you talk about Ninja Conor, bro, no one could get in range. Oh. It's not possible. Like, you'd get spinning back kicked or something. There would always be something to keep you out of range. And the moment you did get in range, you'd get caught with a right hand, touch of death. Now he's not really doing it as well. He's not keeping people at bay as well. It's a bit easier for him to get in range. And then with Dustin, he throws his hook so tight, so well. The technique on his right hook, left hook is perfect. So when he lands, it does damage. He catches clean, and it's kind of hard. He makes it a scrap. And for him, it's not as bad as his opponents because his technique's so clean. His elbows are so sharp, so tight. It's hard to really get any kind of shots off as well.
Yeah, I mean, the level of Dustin, his improvement has, he's improved his stand-up massively. What's your thoughts, Tim?
There was a few things that we talked about off air, and Ash, I really wanted you to talk about it because there was a few things that you really mentioned of, like, the keys to this fight are a couple of things. Of Dustin's really impressive lead hook of, like, how does he generate so much power on that lead hook?
Yes.
And also the cage. And Amar brought both of these up of, like, the clinching against the cage and the lead hook. So, Ash, I want to hear your breakdown here.
Yeah, so it's really weird with Dustin. I mean, I think it's weird anyway. Maybe it's not that weird because I haven't seen it too many times. But he stands in the southpaw stance and, he throws that right hook from that southpaw stance. But classically, I've hit pads a few times. I'm not going to say I'm some expert, but when I'm orthodox. So if I'm standing in orthodox and I'm winging my right hook, I get more power in that because it's a lot more, you're pivoting a little bit more off the hip. With Dustin, he stands in the southpaw stance. Now, bear in mind, it's less telegraphed than when he throws a right hook because, it's a lot closer distance, but you're talking about a lot less torque, but he still fucks people up, man, with that right hook. How crazy is that? He's got ridiculous power and he's got a power right jab. Like, all of his jab is just power because he's in that southpaw stance. And the left hook, he could generate more power in his left hook, which isn't classically his dominant hand, purely because he's in that stance. It's really unusual. I mean, I've never seen.
I mean, it's
anyone do that.
similar to Jimmy Manuwa tactic, you know, where he was actually right-handed and he swapped off to stand southpaw. So where it's that's your dominant hand, you've automatically got that little bit extra power, you know, better coordination in your lead hand, better power in your lead hand. So if your dominant hand naturally is your lead hand, then you're just adding a different level. You're adding a different level.
So both Semi Schilt and Anderson Silva were both right-handed and then chose to fight as southpaws.
I did not know that. I'm such a casual. I didn't even know Anderson Silva was right-handed. That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, look, it makes a huge difference in terms of coordination. You know, your lead hand, use it for everyday life. Yeah. Your brain's just better connected in terms of your nervous system. It makes a difference. But me personally, I don't know. It's also, I mean, you train it. You know, you train it, and then where your less dominant hand has automatically got less power, just bringing it back. That way you can get a little bit more torque, a little bit more force behind it. It's a little bit more intense.
Do you just going a little bit off topic, do you fight in orthodox and southpaw? Do you get used to doing both?
I think it's good. There's situations for both, especially now. If you're going to do MMA, you have to be able to work both.
Yeah, seems like it, man. I mean, Dustin's had, what I've noticed is as well is when he hurts people, when he puts them against the fence, he's like, all right, man, I'm an orthodox fighter. I want to start winging my right hand.
There you go. I mean, the benefits are just too great, you know. The benefits of having that that lead stance, it works really well. I mean, it doesn't even have to be orthodox southpaw. Me personally, when I go against southpaw, I'm very comfortable fighting them because I understand the tactics, I understand the footwork, I understand how it works. So just having that basic understanding of how southpaw works, what they're planning mindset-wise, even in the wrestling exchanges as well, it makes a difference in terms of what type of takedowns they're going to go for, what they're more likely to go for. Just because of having the difference in lead foot, it makes a big difference. So I think you have to know some sort of competency on both ends of the spectrum. You have to have that.
Well, I was going to lead. So I think you're absolutely right. And I think those are some of the keys that we saw, especially in the second fight, where Conor McGregor's game works so well against, he's a southpaw, and his game works extremely well against orthodox fighters. He has that long cross, and he's controlling the lead hand, trying to control distance. It's a little bit of a different game when he's fighting a fellow southpaw in Dustin Poirier. And I think both of you guys are we're coming to the conclusion here of, I think that lead hook works so well because it's a check hook against a jab. Whereas, so if Conor McGregor is throwing a jab against an orthodox opponent, he doesn't have to worry about the check hook nearly as much. Now he's fighting a fellow southpaw, and if he throws a jab to a 1-2, that check hook is there. And he didn't have to deal with that in his last 10 opponents kind of thing. So I think that's why you see such a difference on why the check hook is working in the second fight. However, I put up a video, and I'm sure you guys saw it, of Conor McGregor setting up feints. And he was able to land his best strikes at UFC 257 based on knowing that Dustin Poirier's check hook was coming. But in the second round, he just kind of forgot about it, I guess, because the check hook almost finished the fight. But I think in this fight, one of Conor McGregor's biggest keys to this fight is throwing varied strikes, initiate the exchanges, but more than anything, throw lots of feints. Ash, what do you think?
Yes, I mean, he did some good stuff in that first fight, man. I'm sorry, not the first fight, the second fight. I mean, he threw nice feints. He set up Dustin to basically get hit. Now, one thing he didn't do, I mean, clearly he didn't throw any kicks, but he didn't go to the body at all for Dustin, man. I mean, he barely went to the body. And if you look at Dustin's previous fights, if you look at his fight with Max Holloway, if you look at his fight with Eddie Alvarez, if you look at his fight even with the name now, one of Conor's opponents that he lost to, but if you Joe Duffy, if you look at those fights, he gets cracked to the body a lot, and I think that is because of the fact that he's got such a high guard. He keeps his hands so high and guarded, his body is completely open. So I think the key to victory in the trilogy bout, he's going to have to start throwing some spin kicks to the body and going to that body, going to that well, it will pay dividends. But he just didn't do that in the second fight, man. I have no idea why. Yeah,
I feel like his legs are going to be a big factor. I feel like once he does start getting his legs in use, in play, start using them more, it would definitely mess Dustin up a little bit, just in terms of his style, man. Styles make fights, you know what I mean? That style really well suited for Dustin. If you can't get close, you can't get in, it's going to be a very difficult night for him. That's the main key, in my opinion.
it's just gonna be difficult, guys, because it's like, what Conor are we gonna see? Are we gonna see the Conor from 2014 to 2016 just absolutely destroying people? Or are we gonna just see that boxing heavy stance Conor? I mean, even the Conor against Khabib, in my opinion, was better than that Conor against Dustin in that second fight. He was arguably better. He was okay in that second fight, but very, very predictable, which is unusual for Conor, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Conor actually did really well in the Khabib fight, especially given how amazing Khabib was as a fighter, and he actually presented himself quite well. I think so. Let's say best case scenario here: Conor comes out and he's throwing tons of body kicks. He's checking kicks. In at the UFC 257, he allowed 18 out of 21 kicks, but this time he's checking kicks and he's returning kicks of his own. Let's say these two go through a 5-round war. Both of these men have been in 5-round wars previously. And I think this is, I really hope it's a 5-round war. That's the best case scenario. Amar, like, who do you think has been through when you get into the deep trenches in the fight?
Definitely Dustin.
Okay.
Definitely Dustin. Like, it just look, Conor McGregor, he's a great fighter. Like, I watched a video recently, actually, he posted of him cycling, you know. He's been doing a lot of cycling. Like, I cycle a lot, and he's been racing other cyclists as well. I feel like he's doing it maybe to boost his own ego. Like, cycling really does boost up your endurance. Having that endurance in your legs does help, but it's a mentality thing more than anything, in my opinion. I think Dustin just, you put him in a 5-round war, he'll go to 5-round war, and he'll come out fine. In his mind, there's nothing that's going to break. He's going to go that 5 rounds, he's going to tough it out, and he's not, in my opinion, if you've seen him in the Gaethje fight, not the Gaethje fight, the Max Holloway fight, you know, they went 5 rounds, it was a tough fight, very brutal. Who else? The Dan Hooker fight.
Okay, yeah? Alvarez as well.
Yeah, just brutal wars, very brutal. And he just doesn't slow down, he just keeps going. He's always in line with his opponent or better. Whereas McGregor, we haven't really seen him too many times in like a 5-round war. He had his bouts with Diaz and they didn't go exactly the best, especially that second Diaz fight where he had a little tactic to jog away whenever things got sticky, which is a smart idea for him, you know.
You ran him.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a smart tactic though, you know. Yeah, you go back for his Sun Tzu. You know, if the battle's not going your way, make a strategic retreat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just
make a strategic retreat.
Yeah, just quickly jog around and just hope no one.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like, look, just when it comes to wars, when it comes to getting into the trenches, Dustin just better prepared. That's his thing. You know what I mean? His thing is to be in the trenches, and when it comes to actual scraps, his style is suited perfectly to scrapping. His hooks are so tight, so clean. He has that sharp head movement whenever he needs it. He knows how to scrap, and he knows how to scrap effectively and efficiently.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more with Dustin, especially. He's just, I mean, it's weird because at featherweight, he was getting, I mean, as Conor said, you know, a jab, gust of wind, and Dustin is falling around like a house of cards. And he really was like that at 145, you know, he's getting cracked by Akira Karasani. Like, who is that guy now? No one even knows who that guy is anymore. And you've got all these other people that are just cracking him and dropping him. And he goes to lightweight, and all of a sudden, his durability goes through the roof. Bar that fight with Michael Johnson, I think that he just got caught in that. You know, anyone could get caught with Michael Johnson. But it's nuts, man. I think that weight gain that he's naturally got himself bigger has made him a lot more durable at lightweight. I don't think he can make lightweight in the next year or two. Honestly, I can't see it.
Well, I feel like just with Dustin, yeah, his evolution. I feel like him growing has been part of his evolution more than anything. Like, and it's not too fair to judge someone too early on in their career. You know, takes time. It takes a long time to get settled, to find out the right way, to mix and match opponents. You know, it takes time. You know, especially at a high level in the UFC. He's been in there for so long. You know, yeah, it's a growth period. You know, he's had to go through. I think he's done it very well. He's done it very, very well.
Yeah, he's done it the smart way for sure.
Well, yeah, there's kind of two shades of fighters. Now, this isn't like a hard rule. This is just a way of imagining fighting. But some fighters are Cain Velasquez and John Jones, where they look amazing in their amateur days, and they come into the UFC and they look amazing. And then, lo and behold, they are amazing the entire time. But then you have some fighters who are kind of more the tough guy brawler. Your Clay Guidas, your Jim Millers, your, you know, kind of guys like this. And you guys like Dustin Poirier are closer to the Clay Guidas, but they also clearly get better every fight. And I think, not to be rude, Dustin Poirier is one of my favorite fighters. I've loved him since the Korean Zombie fight, but he has clearly gotten better in the cage by being kind of a bad fighter at certain points in his career.
Yeah.
He made all the mistakes you possibly could and then learned from it, right? So he's not making the same mistakes now, but he had to make those mistakes. Whereas Conor was kind of a blitzer from the beginning. He understood fighting intrinsically. He understood what he was trying to do. But yeah, Ash, what do you think?
In terms of that, with Dustin, I think with him, I call him the technical brawler because, you say that there was Matt Brown that actually had that term. Oh, he's a technical brawler. And I think before Dustin, he was just pure brawler. Like he would just go in, and you saw some of the sparring footage that he's done recently, man. Like when he was bold Dustin, he would just be, going ahead like a meathead, just smacking each other in the face. And that's basically what his style was before. He's gone a lot more, smarter about it, a lot cleverer, and he's developed a lot more tools, man, when it comes to his striking. I'm honestly, I really like Dustin. I don't want him to win on Saturday because I'm a bit more of a Conor fan, admittedly. But yeah, he's improved vastly, man. Even his wrestling is better. His grappling is better. Everything is better. He almost finished Eddie Alvarez with a guillotine choke, which is nuts, man. So yeah, in terms of most improved fighter, I think Dustin probably bags that title for sure.
I'd have to 100% agree. Especially like when you compare Dustin's evolution to Conor's sort of de-evolution, you know what I mean?
Yeah, evolution. That's perfect.
Yeah, they're going in opposite directions. I think. Look, when you've done this as a career, everyone has different paths. Everyone has different roads, different journeys. And I feel like it's how you keep your mind throughout your journey is how it's going to affect you as a fighter. I feel like Dustin, he knows what he needs. He's hungry still. You know what I mean? He knows what he's got to do. He's looking at things from calculated perspectives. He's taking his time. He's working hard with his coach. And he's got a very good coaching team. They're making very intelligent adjustments. Whereas Conor's end of the spectrum, I feel like maybe he's just too much control. Maybe he's got a bit of an ego. He's taking too much control. And there's no one really on his team that's telling him, no, you need to sort yourself out. You need to do this. You need to do this. There's no one to check him. You know what I mean? When you have an ego like him, you think, yeah, look what I did to the Eddie Alvarez fight. Like, look, when you have a result like that, that fight was absolutely shocking, in my opinion. One of the craziest performances ever.
I actually had Eddie in that, to be fair. I had Eddie winning that before. I bet on Eddie and I lost money on that.
That's terrible, man. That's terrible. No, man, that performance was so brutal. I was in shock. I remember as like a teenager watching, I'm thinking, what is going on?
Yeah,
how can someone do that? How can someone do that to someone? When you have a performance like that, there's no way you can't sort of get in your own head, you know what I mean? Now maybe he's looking too far back in that performance. He's on a losing streak a little bit. So he's on a bit of a bad losing streak right now, you know what I mean? It's a similar result to Tyron Woodley, just not as bad performance. Yeah, statistically speaking, he's got a lot to prove to himself, to others, and really to the world. Like, is he still the same Conor? Yeah. Really, he's not. You know what I mean?
And the stuff that he was doing in the Alvarez fight was so advanced because he was throwing 1-2s at a fake speed to lull Eddie Alvarez into, and he was also leaning his head out a little bit too far to create false distance. Now, those things he's still kind of doing in fights, but it's like you have the right puzzle pieces, but they don't fit together. Like you're doing them at the wrong time. You're not setting them up off feints or something like that. Ash, do you want to throw in on the Eddie Alvarez fight a little bit?
But the Eddie Alvarez fight as well, he looked humongous compared to Eddie. I mean, Eddie was probably the heavier man, but in terms of frame, when you look at the frame, I think I watched this and I was like, this is a bad bet, man. This is stupid. I can't believe I watched them like touch gloves at the beginning, and I'm like, Conor looks freaking. I mean, Eddie Alvarez might as well be Jose Aldo at this point. Yeah, like he's a lot shorter, a lot less reach. If you remember that interview, because if you come in any form, size, shape similar to me, I'm gonna tear your whole head off. And that's literally what Conor did, man. He teared Eddie's head off. And it was just because of distance management. He was so confident he had his hands behind his back, waiting for Eddie to come in on the exchanges, and he would just crack him as soon as Eddie would come in as well. He looked huge. And I think the reason why he didn't have as much success against Dustin is because Dustin is friggin' long, man. He's a really, really long fighter. Max Holloway was the taller man in their fight, and Dustin still connected with straights. Crazy.
Yeah, and Connor's so weirdly long, isn't he? Like, especially for a featherweight, his reach is closer to that of a middleweight or
it's
like
a 6'2" man's reach, man. It's it's 1.88 meters, which is ridiculous for
That's
5'9" man.
That's insane. Like, this guy was built for fighting. Now, Amar, I wanted to ask you as well, and I'm super happy you're here because we get to talk about Muay Thai a little bit. Let's say that Conor McGregor, rather than just listening to John Kavanaugh and himself, did call up some Muay Thai trainers. So in the first fight, he was catching kicks and then had no idea what to do. Let's say we see a Muay Thai Conor here, a Buak Conor, if you will, or Buaka Conor. So Sanchai used to say, like, so you block the kick, and that's what Conor was doing. He was catching the kick, and then he had no idea what to do with it. And you're supposed to clear it across your body so your opponent is facing away. If you're in a fight with Dustin Poirier and you catch his kick, what's the next step here? What should you be doing here?
Man, just right hand, in my opinion, right hand or sweep. You really, because look, it's the same issue in the Dustin Poirier 2 fight. You know, you watch it back. He got calf kicked, and he realized, all right, these are bad. I need to maybe just do something. Then there was a stage where he took one calf kick. Dustin went for a second one. He managed to get out of the way. But if you don't punish your opponent, they're gonna keep doing it. You know, if there's no consequences to something, you're gonna keep doing it when there's no consequences. And that's the issue that Conor really had, is he wasn't making Dustin pay. Like, on occasions he managed to check or block, he didn't do anything. Like, or evade, he didn't come back with anything. Really, with a guy like Dustin Poirier, you need to give him consequences for his actions. You can't just leave him. He'll do something again and again and again. Even if he catches one hit, you got to really make him pay for it. So, in my opinion, I would like to see Conor do one of two things. If he could, I'd say right hand as he takes that calf kick. If Poirier is going to go for it, I'd say catch him with that right hand. It's perfect opportunity for Conor. He's so long, so easy for him to get that. It's just the perfect thing for him, really. It takes time to develop that timing, though. I mean, has he had enough time to develop that timing to get it down perfect, to really execute? Because it does take a while. It's not an easy thing to learn. And then on top of that, you could maybe go, like, if for the higher up leg kicks, maybe catch and take down. I would like to see Conor maybe do something like that. Change it up a little bit.
First one to shoot is a dusty bitch, Amar. Come on.
Yeah, there you go.
First one.
But that's what Conor does. That's what Conor does. He gets into your head, and then
Imagine he's saying all this, and he does a Habib style game plan.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that. The thing is, he's in California. You know what I mean? They have great wrestling in America. He's got so many opportunities to train with so many top collegiate wrestlers, high school wrestlers. So many opportunities. Like, if you're not taking these opportunities, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the perfect thing for him. And taking someone down in MMA, you know, it's all about setups. It's not like wrestling where it's all athletic ability. There's many different factors and variables in a wrestling match. Whereas it's a lot easier to take someone down in MMA if you know what you're doing with the right coaching, right team. And it's there, you know what I mean? When someone's leg kicking you, they're on one leg. You know, if you catch that leg, go for that takedown, you do really well. Look, I think it would mess a lot with Dustin. Like, really, if he was to, that is something that if Conor was to do, sign out the blue, and I hope we see it, is maybe catch a leg kick and try to go for a quick takedown. Even if lands 1 or 2, it really change. I think that would actually change everything in the fight. I think it would put everything in Conor's favor, really mess with Dustin's head, make it difficult for him to fight the same, and it would just give Conor an edge.
No, I totally agree. There is opportunity there to catch the kicks, but it's also knowing what to do. Like you said, setting up a right hand like we saw with Anderson Silva, James Irvin, or just clearing it across your body to land kicks, or running through on a takedown out of your own. But there's lots of opportunities there. So he has shown shades that he knows how to win this fight, throwing lots of feints, even catching the kicks, countering the kicks. There's lots of good opportunity here. I do think a big factor was that he was distracted by the Manny Pacquiao fight, that his company is now suing Manny Pacquiao because apparently they've already paid him part of the advance.
No way. No way.
Crazy, man.
They paid him $3 million.
Pacquiao ran off with a bag, man.
Yeah, and like
that's insane.
You pay a guy $3 million for a fight, and then the fight doesn't go through. Well, the other guy still has $3 million. So anyway, I do think he was distracted maybe by the Manny Pacquiao fight. But let's say that you're Ash, you're in the training camp of Conor McGregor. What's your keys to the fight?
I mean, I want Ninja Conor back, man. I mean, I want karate slash taekwondo Conor back. Now, whether he can do that style so fluidly in a fight anymore, I don't know if he can, man. It's going to be a difficult one. It's been such a long time, but he needs to bring that style back, because that's what made him so successful as a featherweight. And at lightweight, I don't know. I personally think he needs to start bringing that style. If you try and fight the way he did against Dustin, against any of the top 5 lightweights, they will absolutely destroy him. And probably even Tony Ferguson will beat him at this point if you're going to try and fight like that. Yeah, I want to see karate slash Conor. Yeah, that's rude, isn't it? Tony Ferguson.
That's rough, man. But yeah, Amar, keys to the fight if you're in the Conor camp, what do you see? What opportunities do you think would be best?
But like, he just needs to make Dustin pay for anything he does. Really, that's just the thing. He's just letting him do stuff, and he's not really giving an answer back. You know, if he catches the kicks, like if he gets kicked, he should counter with a right hand. In my opinion, it works perfectly for him. He's so long, so powerful with his right hand. Perfect. Just a perfect technique for him. Really, that's the main thing. It wasn't too bad in the beginning of the last fight, you know. He's just managing distance well. He's feinting, like you said. His feints, they're a game changer. But I'd agree with Ash. Not to the degree in terms of Ninja Conor, but he needs to use his legs a little bit more. He needs to actually start throwing some kicks again, keeping Dustin at bay with them. Just a push kick or put some leg kicks on body kicks. Just throw something just to make Dustin think, okay, this is like, I've got to worry if I try to get close, that maybe I'll get kicked.
Alternatively, there is another game plan for Conor. So say if Dustin decides to make this a bit more of a close quarters combat, or try and move in range really quickly, Conor was very good in the clinch in that first fight. I mean, he threw a few good elbows, knees to the body, shoulders as well, especially.
There was a very good elbow. There was a very, very good elbow as he cleared. He went bang, caught him clean, nasty.
Beautiful, man. It was off the break as well. They broke the clinch and boom, left elbow. So he was getting messed up a little bit in the clinch. Now, it's going to be interesting, man. Imagine Conor comes out full Muay Thai and just starts like clinching with him, throwing knees to the body, elbows, all that kind of stuff. It could either be that or, full karate Conor. I don't know who we're going to get, man. It's hard.
I mean, I would agree there, I mean, the thing is that with a guy like Dustin, I feel like he's improved with dealing with dealing with longer range guys. He knows how to close range on guys that are good at keeping long range. So where he will like at some point he's gonna get in close. It's a good time for Conor to really show us his clinching abilities. Grab knee, catch some elbows, maybe even like a step in elbow, like a really traditional style Thai boxer. You see, they'll just push forward with the elbow, as their opponents come close. So this type of tactic will be very well, especially with Dustin, who does hooks. Like his whole thing is like really, really well done hooks. Where they're tight, it's hard to really catch someone. So an elbow is a perfect thing, just to slip in the middle.
No, and I do agree with you as well, especially with a Muay Thai style where you pick up the lead leg, essentially so that any leg kicks incoming would be less effective. However, now we're at the point that we're asking Conor to fight in a way that he almost has never fought before. Conor, you should just be Sanshai. You should just be Buaka at this point. That's what we're saying at this point. You know what I mean? So,
Silva, man.
Why aren't you just Anderson Silva? I don't understand, Conor.
I mean, I feel like the main thing is he's been preparing for all these boxing fights. He's got his mindset on boxing. It's not MMA, there's different things you need to prepare for. MMA, we have specific drills that we do just for MMA. This is a specific sport. He's working in a very highly specialized sport right now. Of course, it's gonna be difficult. It's not the same. So I like to see him change things up a little bit. In my opinion, he's on a losing streak. If there was any time for him to make a change, will be now. Now is the time where he needs to change up his style, maybe seek out some coaching. I think that's his main thing. He just is not looking for the best coaching. Dustin's at ATT, you know what I mean? He's got the top guys. He's got a brutal team, and he goes around, he trains here and there a little bit. Whereas, McGregor, he's staying with his same people over and over again. Yeah, loyalty is important, but Kavanagh isn't the best coach in my opinion. He's decent, but he's not the best. Who's his training partners? Artem Lobov. You know what I mean? Well, he's a bit of a retard as well. You know what I mean? He was doing his stupid hammer fist. This isn't Dustin. You know what I mean? Like you need to level up your camp as well. Like where you're at that level.
I love it.
But it's realistic. I think, look, that is what has been key to Conor's downfall. He hasn't really focused on his development as an MMA fighter. He's just, okay, I'm good at this. I'm going to stay here. My team is here. We're good. We're just going to make a lot of money, get fancy, and just chat a lot of shit. No,
He's not evolved. He's not evolved.
He's devolved. That's it. He's devolved.
Now, we're going to get into the crux of who do you think's going to win? So it's an interesting one. I kind of am guessing what you two are going to pick already. But I'll start with Tim. Who are you going to pick, man? I know you're going to pick already.
Well, yeah. So maybe I'm not even a good person to pick. Their first fight, I said Dustin's clearly going to win this fight. The second fight, I thought Conor's probably going to win this fight. So me picking Dustin in this fight might be more of a curse more than anything. But yeah, I think Dustin's going to get in there, mix up clinching, mix up takedowns, just mix up all levels of striking with him. I think this is a good fight for Dustin the more I kind of look back at it. And he is hittable. So it's not a guarantee that he's going to win this fight. But yeah, I'm going to pick Dustin in this fight. My heart says Dustin, and my brain also says Dustin. Amar, who you got in this fight officially? Who's your official pick?
So, well, look, there's a lot of different factors that go into the fight. The mentality, I think, is really what's going to win this fight, is who has been intelligent enough to really be calm and like change the way they fight to suit the fight better. You know, obviously Dustin has to make a couple changes as well, and he's spoken, but like his team is just top level. He knows like he's getting the best coaching. They're doing everything they can to make sure, because his fight is so massive, and he's got top sparring partners, top everything. I think Conor always comes out with something interesting. You know, he's always got some craziness in the works. But realistically speaking, I feel like Dustin is just gonna come back with another one. He's gonna do it, repeat the same fight. I think.
I'm gonna be the Conor fanboy in this, and feel like I'm backed up in the corner. But I mean, I have to go with my guy, man. I mean, look, I think he will make the adjustments. I do feel like he's gonna change his style going up into the trilogy bout. Let's be honest, man. I know deep down in the back of his mind, if he loses this Dustin fight, man, he might as well just kiss goodbye to his MMA career, because he's not making 145. He's not going to go into boxing off the back of this, because they're going to be like, well, you got smashed by Dustin, man. I mean, it's not really a big sell right now. So this fight means a lot to him, and not because of the money, purely because of ego. And I know Conor's quite an egomaniac, so I'm going Conor. He made the adjustments in the Nate Diaz rematch. I don't see why he can't make adjustments in the trilogy bout. And I think I'm going to go TKO Conor second round. I'm actually going to call it.
Ooh, big words here.
They're going to fail miserably, man. And it's going to be Dustin KO.
I mean, look, that is the main thing about Conor is, look, I feel like I'm with you there, you know. I feel like, yeah, it's a lot of pressure on him. And I feel like he's making changes. He's doing different things. But at the same time, I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like Dustin is he's just there, you know what I mean? He's in the trenches. He knows what he's doing. He's been active as a fighter. He's got everything down. He's very intelligent. He knows he's an MMA fighter. He's an MMA fighter. Whereas Conor, here, he's there. We don't know what's going on. Sometimes he's boxing.
Business, blah, 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 all that.
He's in La La Land. You know what I mean? He's in La La Land.
But so the winner, we have confirmation that the winner of this fight would be the next opponent for the current champion, Charles de Bronx Oliveira, the kid from the favela. One of my favorite stories in the sport. This guy. Love Charles de Bronx. He's a jiu-jitsu base who learned and fell in love with Muay Thai. Absolutely a peak fighter. What do we see? The winner of this fight fights that person. Ash, what do you see in that?
He's losing the title, man. I'll be honest. Yeah. Like if Conor fights him, I think even Conor stylistically is a horrible matchup for Oliveira. He's not going to get taken down so easily by Oliveira, in my opinion. He's going to expect it, man. So he's going to train that. And Dustin, oh my God, man, he's going to put a fucking beating on him. Like,
I mean, look, but don't forget, I really thought Chandler would do a job. Like, I was surprised because I'm a fan of Oliveira. I think he's just an amazing fighter. I think he does so many things great. He's just a great guy. But man, that Chandler fight was insane. I'm thinking, what is going on here? One thing Oliveira's shown is that when there's pressure, he puts it on. He works hard. He's very intense, and he's making changes. Danaher said something interesting on the Joe Rogan podcast that I would have to agree. Like he breaks mentally sometimes. You know, if you pressure him enough, he's just not there. I feel like with the Dustin fight, if he takes Dustin down, Dustin hasn't got the greatest takedown defense. You know, he can take him down on his back. He's not the best. I feel like there's a lot of winning chance for him there, especially after beating Chandler. There's a massive confidence behind Oliveira. So I feel like his chances are on the ground. I don't see him really beating Dustin on the standing side. I feel like Dustin will crack him, a bit too much pressure for him, just crack him and land him a good one. Same with Conor. I think it will just be a good fight for him, really, because it's just Oliveira's here, you know, he's just too traditional, too straightforward, and Conor's just gonna take advantage of that. Obviously, new Conor versus old Conor would have run through this Oliveira, spinning back kicked his body, just really attacked his body. New Conor we don't know right now what's going on in his head, but I feel like he's just too long range for him. At that range, he's gonna pick him apart a little bit.
Yeah, let's be honest, man. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade here. The Conor versus Dustin fight is really the title fight. Let's be honest, man. That's the real title fight.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the interesting one. Hence the reason why it's the marquee event of the year. I mean, it's not just because of Conor. It's basically a title fight.
I agree.
No,
I feel like maybe after this fight, if Conor loses and he wants to keep fighting, there are opponents out there for him to fight. There's so many good matchups for him if he loses this fight. If he wins, gets the title. Again, it's a good thing for MMA either way. As a sport for us fans, like there's just so many like options coming from this one fight. Dustin wins, he's got so many options. If he loses, he has options. It's just a good matchup overall.
That's true. I mean, the only thing I got with that is it's just gonna be sad to see the Conor era officially die.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna officially die, and I've got such good memories of like just watching Conor events with my friends and yeah, man, Conor's gonna take this guy out. Even the Eddie fight, man, I didn't particularly like how he came across before, and I was actually rooting for Eddie, man, in that. And after, I'm like, this guy's too amazing, man. This post fight,
man, he's just too good, too
it's
sharp, too clean.
Yeah, it's just insane. So it will be a bit sad, but we'll see, man. I mean, hopefully one of my results, pans out, man. Either England win over the Euros, or Conor wins, one of the two, or both. And then, I'll probably do a mad coke binge like Conor in it for about a week.
I hope for the England winning. Oh, not the coke binge. Don't worry about that. I don't condone that behavior. We keep it healthy. I don't condone that behavior.
No, I'm not doing that, man. Hell no. Oh man.
All right, I got you.
So like final question for you guys, just to end this, yeah. So Conor, if he loses, where does he go? Because that's interesting, and that is let's be honest. I mean, if I had a gun to my head, I would pick Dustin. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm picking Conor because I'm a huge fan of him. But if I had a gun to my head, I would pick Dustin. What do you do with Conor if he loses? What do you do with?
And it's tough because he is the biggest draw in the sport's history. He's bigger than Chuck Liddell. He's bigger than John Jones. He's bigger than Daniel Cormier.
Together.
Combined, yeah. It's tough to like. He's not going for a title. He can't cut to featherweight. He's not going to make a run at welterweight. What journeyman do you want to see him beat up? Rafael dos Anjos or Jorge Masvidal or Nate Diaz? Like what? And none of those fights are intriguing, but we get to see Conor beat some old guy up. Does he? And like you guys said, I don't think moving to boxing is as intriguing when you're not a double champion. You just got outboxed perhaps by Dustin Poirier twice, and you're going to box Manny Pacquiao? Come on, guys.
Nah, but Manny Pacquiao would absolutely just.
Oh, he'd destroy him, man.
Even at his old age, he's just, I don't know what he's doing, but he's just a killer.
Yeah.
Too sharp, sharper than Dustin.
Supplements, man. I got a feeling. I'm just going to hate and say he's on the
Look, I'm not even going to complain. He's just providing amazing fights. It's just different level. And let's be real here. Look, Dustin, boxing level is just nowhere near Manny Pacquiao. Nowhere near. Like, he's a great boxer for MMA, but Manny Pacquiao, that speed that he carries with his hooks is just too much. It's just too fast for anyone really to deal with, let alone Conor McGregor, who struggled with Dustin Poirier. I think his best options is just, like, if he wants to keep fighting, there's so many options for him. Like, there's a Ferguson fight would be a great fight at lightweight. say evenly matched. They both coming off a few losses. It's a good fight. If he's got a good chance of winning, good chance of losing, it's just an even match. Gaethje would be a great fight, be tough, but it would be a spectacular fight to see. Like, it would be very entertaining for the fans. You'd see some good stuff. Yeah, there are fights that like out there for him, but just have to see. Maybe a Michael Chandler fight.
That's a not bad fight, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great because it's like a Mendes Conor 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a better version of a Mendes. Have you seen Chad Mendes? The guy's looking like a killer now, waiting for his return.
Is he coming back?
100%. There's no way he doesn't come back. He's looking too sharp. Have you seen him in training?
Really good. Yeah, he looks good, man.
He's a killer.
Yeah.
Look, there you go. That's the perfect fight to make. Mendes, Conor 2, because he's looking bigger as well. Because Mendes looks a lot bigger than he did that featherweight now. Like, if you see him, he looks jacked. So if they're at lightweight, made Mendes' return at lightweight versus Conor, it will be a great fight. It will boost up Mendes' career. If he wins, if he loses, we know it was all hype, and yeah.
Damn. Okay. He's looking thick, man. Chad Mendes.
What was his thing?
Solid.
He's been hitting the psoriasis medicine, I think it was that he said it was, or something like that. But yeah, I don't know if I don't know.
Yeah, it was acne cream or something that made him.
Yeah, something like
man.
that. But yeah,
Whatever,
he's a big boy. Man, Chad Mendes fight. Again, same thing of like, you guys want to see Conor beat up some mid-level, half-retired fighter. I don't
Mid-level, that's harsh, man. Like, he was
Yeah, I agree. Like, he's not the best fighter, but I think it's a great fight for Conor. I mean, it's a great fight for the fans, really, as well. Being entertaining match, especially with the improvements he's made. Mendes is looking just like a different animal now. He's just taking time off. Maybe we'll come back and see a new Mendes. I have a feeling he's 100% preparing for a return. I don't see him just training for training. I think he's making a return, especially with the way how sharp he looks. Definitely he looks like he's going to make a return. It would be great to see him make a return against Conor. It would be a fun fight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hopefully, hopefully he comes back, man, because I was always a Mendes fan. He was great.
But yeah, what else do we need to cover off, boys? We've got who's winning the next fight. We've got, coming into the UFC 264. What else you boys see? Is there anything in the fight that perhaps we missed? Either of you guys?
That's an interesting question, Tim. Not particularly. I mean, look, if this goes 5 rounds, classically, everyone's going to say Dustin is going to take this fight. But I almost think that the smart approach for Conor right now, because let's face it, the power, as you said the other day, Amar, the power hasn't really translated at lightweight so much. It hasn't. So I almost think his team should go for points, man. Like, he kind of almost, he didn't really do that with Diaz, but he went the whole 5 rounds at welterweight. I think he's preparing for a 5-round war, and I don't think he's looking to put Dustin away early. He's not saying I'm going to KO him early or anything like that. So I think he's got it in his mind that this is going to be a 5-round war. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'd agree. I feel like I don't think I think McGregor's best chance of winning is less to make it a war, more to make it a tactical fight. Keep on the outside, stay out of range, get in, land your points, go for the body when you can, come back out, in, out, makes the most sense for him. Like, it would just be the best fight. If he was to get into a scrap with Dustin, I don't see him winning that scrap. I feel like Dustin's too well versed in that art of scrapping, brutal, being in the trenches, getting into war. That's Dustin's job, you know what I mean? That's what he lives, breathes, and fights for, is to be in that zone, you know what I mean? Whereas Conor McGregor, if he was to take a little bit more of an amateur boxing approach, maybe work on his footwork, sharpen up, in, out, he'd do quite well. He'd pick apart Dustin a little bit easier.
Yeah, being a patient striker, setting up your shots, using feints, and don't try to go for the kill. You can just outpoint a guy. Yeah, that's a really good point. Ash, I'll just read off the rest of the 264 card. So you have Burns versus Stephen Thompson, 2 top 5 welterweights, karate world champion versus jiu-jitsu world champion, just like a UFC 2 match. That's great. Tai Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy. No one cares. Who cares at all?
I think that's going to be a great fight because Tai Tuivasa, he's got hands, man. He's sharp for his weight. I think it'll be I don't think it's going to be something spectacular, but I think it's going to be like a little bit of a war. It's going to be a scrap. Both of them are a bit crackhead. It'll be a fun fight.
I got Greg Hardy by domestic assault. No, I'm joking.
That was cold. That was cold.
Man. I'm going to edit that out. Nice job. I'll keep
Keep that in. That's too funny.
Sean O'Malley is fighting a pizza driver, and then we got Carlos.
Is he actually? Is he
no.
actually?
I think
no.
that was a joke I saw, but
Did they give him a new opponent, or what's happening?
yeah, they found so the gentleman he's fighting is Chris Montehino, and it's his UFC debut. It's the guy that they found for Sean O'Malley on a Conor McGregor fight card.
I mean, look, I'm not complaining. I love Mali. I'm a massive fan. I see him doing bits in the future. I don't think it's his time yet, but
yeah,
like for me, I'm a massive super fan. Mali, if you're seeing this, I'm a super fan. Send me some of your merch. Send that stuff through. Man, that guy's a legend. Like he's a different breed. Like I listened to his podcast with him and Tim Welch. They do a lot of cool stuff. They're always focused on improvements. They just improve their daily lives as well as their sports lives. They're really doing big things. If you watch their podcast, they're really trying to build a following.
They got a Patreon as well. Yeah. Like they got a paid for podcast that you got to pay for.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, it's pretty good, you know. They talk about some really good stuff. They talk about funny stuff and stuff like that, but they talk about really like your general health and well-being. They take that very strict, as well as, you know, doing stuff outside. They have a great strength and conditioning coach. This guy that they hired as a SNC is just a genius. Can't remember his name. I think his name's Brandon, but this guy, he knows what he's doing. I feel like there's opportunities for Mali in the future. I see him doing really well. And to be fair, I'm not too bothered. He's fighting like a taxi driver, as you said. You know what I mean? He's already shown his skills. Like his last fight was spectacular.
Yeah, that was awesome. Man.
Yeah, sometimes you just have shit fights. It's what it is. You know what I mean? As long as I get to see him fight, I get to see another Sugar Show performance. I'm happy.
He's got that it factor, man. There's something about that. He's got that it factor. And
he's the next McGregor. He
copied 100%. His style of McGregor. He even said it. Like, I copied my style. I copied a lot of, not copied my style, but I got influenced by McGregor, you know, when I was at a younger age. He even wholeheartedly admits it. And you can kind of see it in his style as well, a little bit, man.
I mean, his style is so intelligent. There's so many layers to it. As a boxing style, it's just very, very smart. So that's why I believe he'll do a lot better than McGregor in terms of keeping his style going for longer, because if you listen to the way he speaks a lot about improvement. They read a lot. Him and Tim Welch, they just study, read together. They're constantly developing. So I think you'll see a McGregor 2.0 there.
I think he's the Roger Huerta 2.0.
Roger, that's an OG throwback, man.
So it's cool that they have an MMA podcast and also cover health. Based on looking at the three of us, I think we could have an MMA podcast and a hair care podcast.
Great hair, man.
I'm just trying to grow this stuff out. It's not easy.
If Head and Shoulders, if you're watching us, man, sponsor our podcast, please.
Yeah, I'm looking for that. Head and Shoulders.
You can see the video.
You can get the shave, man. We can do the shaving sponsorship too. Like, what is the men's shaving thing? I forget the name now. It's like sponsored.
Everyone's Manscaped.
We need a Manscaped.
Look, I'd even do a demonstration for our viewers.
Actually, shout out to my sponsor, Kimura Sports. You know, they always hook me up with the good shit. There you go. Nice. There's the logo.
What's the Instagram page, Emma? Drop it.
At Kimura Sports UK. So yeah, nice. The man bonus.
I've seen it on your page actually, man. It looks really, really good.
I mean, the fact that, look, even if they weren't my sponsor, like their stuff is just too good in my opinion. Like I refuse to buy any other kit. I've stopped wearing rash guards because of them. They've come out with these new tops that they're making, and they're just better than rash guards. I don't like. So I just stopped wearing rash guards. I hate rash guards now. I can only wear their stuff. It's terrible.
Nice. My name's Tim Wheaton. You can find me Tim Wheaton MMA on Twitter and Instagram. Calf Kick Sports on Instagram and Twitter, but really just check us out on Instagram, honestly. You can also check out some of my articles on MMA Sucka. Ash, wrap it up. What's going on? Where else can we find more?
The next podcast, we are going to have another, it's going to be a breakdown of 264. We've actually got a fire in the works for that podcast as well. So that's going to be a good one. And man, I'm going to be nervous, man. I got England playing on Sunday. I got Conor fighting on Saturday. I'm a huge fanboy of Conor, so I'm probably going to be sweating the whole weekend. Can't wait to break it down. And if you guys want to follow Amar as well, it's Amar.zine. So it's AMAR.ZINE. That's his Instagram. But I've got that correct, by the way, Emma?
Yeah.
Brilliant
stuff. You'll catch me in the comment section arguing with people. That's what you'll catch me.
Anyway, no worries, man. And that's it, man. We're going to get out of here.
All right. Cheers guys.
Stuff.